Hi guys, it's Geoff Nicholson here, and I have a question for you. How often do you proactively review your habits? Are you someone who is on the ball and kind of like looking at yourself and going, that's useful, that's not useful? Or are you someone that just falls into that common trap, which many people do, that just keep on using the same habits all the time, but try to manipulate scenarios to fit that habit, rather than developing a habit to fit those scenarios? See, one of the interesting things is, and I've been really fortunate to meet a lot of successful people. I've interviewed them. I've been able to take some time out and chat. And the one of the things, not just the one, but one of the things that is very common is they are always looking at developing key habits that help move them forward, and what they would call success habits. Because it's those habits we want to create something that becomes a natural process of how we deal with the situation. You see, quite often when we force ourselves to do something different, it uses an awful lot of cognitive energy. It uses a massive amount of energy in concentration, in thought processing, all of those sort of things. And quite often those people that aren't serious about changing those habits will fall back and not do them anymore. This is why goals fail. Our New Year's resolutions is, you see them, they'll go, right, okay, this year I'm going to lose weight, or this year I'm going to get fit, or this year I'm going to do this. And they start with, gusto, and they're all ready to go. But by the second, third, fourth week, all of a sudden that starts to change, because it's not a habit yet. And it becomes uncomfortable. It becomes the challenge. It requires that perseverance, that persistence, and that consistency to help create them to be a natural thought process, a natural action, a natural movement. And that's one of the interesting things. It's something that's fascinated me for many years, because I noticed when I was ill that a lot of my habits changed to focus on all the negatives. So let's share something with you. One of my habits every single morning when I was ill, was I would wake up and I would track everything that was wrong with me. So the first thing I would do is I would open my eyes and I would immediately start looking for the pain. I would immediately start looking for the low energy or the negative thoughts. I would immediately start looking at, oh, well, what's wrong with me today? Now listen to the language for the first thing, but actually that's what I was doing on a daily basis. Now, soon, what I was noticing is I didn't have to think of that anymore. I would just wake up and notice how rubbish I felt. I've even had clients who have charted it on the back of their bathroom door to say how rubbish they feel. Now, if we think of that from a habit, that just generally highlights how habits work. The more we do it from a conscious level, eventually what happens is it becomes an unconscious level, and we don't need to think about it anymore, but we still do it. And one of the life lessons that I've learned over the last 10 years is what we need to do is purposefully create positive habits. Now, I've shared one of my habits about getting up in the morning, what I purposefully do in order to get myself feeling great. And I suggest you have a look at that video and have a look and implement some of them and have a go and have some fun about getting your energy levels changed in the morning. But habits are a key thing to move our success forward. And it's whether it's looking at your marketing habits, or it's looking at your business habits. Is how are you being productive or not? Have you got productive habits? Or is one of your habits, for example, this is quite a key one when people work at home, is they'll go to their desk and they'll switch on the television and they'll have a TV show playing on the background. And actually what happens is it's a poor productive habit, because part of your brain is focusing on what's going on the television and not focusing on actually the work that is needed. So you are not as productive as much as you could be. Other people, rather than walking to work or taking or riding to work, they'll just jump in the car, because that is a natural thing of doing. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you can drive in a car and get to a place and think, hang on, did I actually stop at those traffic lights? I can't even really remember getting here. because it's just a natural response. And what we want to make sure is that our habits, if we're going to be like that, they want to be as positive as possible. They want to be the things that help us deal with things in a far better way, or in a way that allows you to move forward. So if it's allowing you to move forward, but it's from a place of nurturing, from a place of beneficial, benefit. Sorry, if it's a place for positively enhancing what you are doing, that's a great habit. But if you've got habits that are holding you back, that are stopping you from moving forward, then that's a habit that you need to change. So my challenge for you for the next few days, for the next week, is to review your habits. Have a think about what your habits are and change them. Look at doing something different. If you know you've got a bad habit and you keep saying to yourself, oh, I wish I didn't do that, what would you like to do instead? And then very slowly add slight changes to that, to change that and create that to be a habit. You see, the brain loves structure. So the more you do something the same way, the quicker that will become an automatic response. Now, there's myths about it being 21 days or 30 days or 60 days. It very much depends on the individual, but it's based on something called neuroplasticity. It's based on the fact that your brain is constantly firing off and making connections. And as soon as you start to create on a repetitive action, those connections get faster and get stronger. So eventually this becomes a normal response. So if we go back to how I was in the mornings when I used to see how rubbish my life was and how poor my energy was and all of those sort of things, and how it changes now when I wake up in the morning and I feel great, I feel happy. Yes, granted, I'm fit and well, but I believe that that's part of the mind shift as well. It's part of that mindset to look at yourself about constantly growing rather than you staying fixed. And I believe that for whether it's anxiety or whether it's, we're not succeeding in our business, if we're not succeeding in our relationships, what is it that we can do to help make a positive impact? I've done videos about, how much attention are you paying towards your family, because you can be locked in your social media rather than giving them the attention they deserve. That's a habit. That's all it is. If you created a habit where you left your phone somewhere and you completely 100% engaged in your family, you wouldn't miss that phone. It would be a natural thing for you to go, okay, that's locked away. Yeah, okay, we're going to do some attention. If you created a habit where rather than coming in every evening in order to deal with the stress, you went and grabbed a bottle of wine and had a couple of glasses of wine, and change it to something, to having some fruit juice or to have some water just to help you sort of clear yourself up. That's not to say that having a drink isn't a bad thing. But there was an interesting program a couple of months ago, and my wife and I were watching it, and it was talking about unconscious drinking. And as people would, they would come back from a bad day and they would go in and they would have a glass of wine. Now, one glass of wine is not a problem, but as you added that up, I think this lady had around, I think it was 72 glasses of wine or something crazy. It was like something like 7 bottles, 8 bottles, 9 bottles of wine in a week, just because it was a habit. She came in, she would have a drink when she got in, she would have a drink when she had a bath, she would have a drink just before she went to bed. All of these things. There's nothing wrong with having a drink, but it's when it becomes a habit that's holding you back, or it's affecting you, and it was affecting her. So this is just this little video just to say, talking about, look at challenging your habits on a day-to-day basis in a way that's going to help you move forward. So take care, have a wonderful day. It's glorious sunshine outside, so I'm looking forward to going outside, and I wish you the greatest success. Take care.